We are now a week away from Apple's March 4th special event, and as we get closer to this date, we are learning even more about what Apple has in store, with Tim Cook now confirming this, saying there is a big week ahead with product announcements starting on Monday. He even shows off a little teaser video of the Apple logo being reshaped on what I assume is a new MacBook. And this event may be bigger than you think, with a new iPhone model, a new low-cost MacBook that might be a little cooler than we thought, two new versions of the Studio display, yes, two of them, new iPads, and there's probably going to be a few good reasons why you should pick up an M5 MacBook Pro rather than waiting for the M6 version, and some important things you need to know about the timing of these product releases. So now with Tim Cook confirming that product announcements will begin on Monday, you also have to realize that, yes, this Wednesday event is just a hands-on time with the product, and that the new products will be announced throughout the week starting on Monday. So we'll probably see product announcements on Monday and Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday morning before the hands-on time. So you should stay tuned to those dates, not just Wednesday, especially if you're looking to pre-order one of these new products. Now, I've talked before about what products to expect at this event, but before I didn't realize how much we might actually see here and how much is kind of up in the air about what Apple might announce or what they might change. Most notably, the low-cost MacBook. I have been very excited about this product. I recently did a full deep dive video about this MacBook, and it made me realize that this might be a bigger deal than I thought. So you probably know that according to the rumors, this is going to be a low-cost MacBook retailing for around $600 to $700, powered by an A18 Pro chip with an aluminum build and multiple fun color options like yellow, green, and blue. But now there seems to be this thought out there that a lot of the other updates on this list that I'm going to talk about are mostly spec bumps without any new designs. So why would Apple be inviting the press to a hands-on event if there isn't anything major being announced here, right? That might signal that that low-cost MacBook may be getting a more unique design rather than just kind of like a reskin lower-cost MacBook Air with different colors. Currently, I am really gravitating towards the idea that it might look like this 3D render by Bob Oba that shows them with a very similar design to the iMac with white screen bezels and a white keyboard. And I wonder if we will get a design this different from the existing MacBooks. Let me know what you think about this design or what design you would want to see for this new low-cost MacBook in the comments below. Personally, I just really like this idea of the MacBook looking like the other colorful Mac product in the lineup. It makes a lot of sense that Apple would borrow a design that looks similar to the iMac, while at the same time paying homage to their older products like the iBook. We also have a new report from 9to5Mac going over how Apple might cut costs on this new MacBook by cutting some features. The biggest cut is that apparently it may have a lower quality display with no True Tone and no P3 wide color gamut, and a lower max brightness than the MacBook Air. 9to5Mac goes on to say that it also won't support fast charging, and one big cost-cutting measure is that it may lack a backlit keyboard. Another compromise comes with storage, but maybe not in the way you were expecting. I think a lot of people were expecting this base model MacBook to start at 128 gigabytes of storage, but apparently the model that will be on sale for customers is still going to start at 256 gigabytes of storage, with an optional 512 gigabyte option, but the storage speeds are going to be lower than what they are on the MacBook Air, which isn't like too crazy. I almost expected that in a way, but hopefully they're not like painfully slow. Like a little slower is fine, but you know, at least 1,000 read or write. Apparently it won't be using Apple's latest N1 networking chip, so maybe weaker Wi-Fi, weaker Bluetooth, and it won't have a high impedance headphone jack, so it won't be like super high quality like the MacBook Pros have. Again, I don't think that's like a huge deal. The most interesting detail about this report though is that apparently there might be like an MacBook version, like an exclusive education version that will be 128 gigabytes in storage, but they're gonna do that to hit like an even lower price point. So I'm actually curious to see with that education model, how low they can price this new MacBook. But let me know in the comments below, do you think these cost-cutting measures are too much, or do you think that it's still fine for the rumored price point? Now that's just right off the bat, that is gonna be the most exciting product, but one product that doesn't sound exciting at first, but might actually be a bigger deal than this MacBook from a value perspective is the new iPad. because Apple is rumored to be releasing 2 new iPad models with an update to the regular iPad with a chip upgrade moving from the A16 chip to the A18 chip, and a new iPad Air moving from the M3 chip to the M4 chip. I know, that does sound boring, and maybe there are a few other updates Apple has planned here that haven't leaked, but if we just take that base level iPad chip upgrade, it is kind of exciting because the A18 is not only really powerful, but that chip also comes with more memory. So even the base level iPad will now come with 8 gigabytes of memory. The iPad has traditionally been a very good value over the years, but with an A18 and 8 gigabytes of memory and all the updates Apple has made to iPad OS 26 with its new multitasking system, that iPad upgrade is going to be really hard to beat from a value standpoint. And even though the MacBook is the more exciting product, I think the base iPad might be the sleeper hit of the event. It will actually be really interesting to do a comparison between the A18 iPad and the A18 Pro MacBook. I can't believe I'm saying that. Actually, no one steal that video idea from me. That's mine. I claim it. You can't do it. It's mine. But if you already have a recent iPad, you probably won't need to update to these new ones, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't upgrade your current iPad with the Paperlike. Because stop me if you don't have these problems with your iPad's display. It collects a lot of fingerprints. You have to constantly crank up the brightness to reduce glares, and the display is slippery. Well, all of that can be solved with the Paperlike screen protector. Because the Paperlike 3 coats your iPad's display with super tiny nanodots that scatter and refract light, reducing glares while creating a textured matte appearance that you can see and feel. With a more matte appearance, fingerprints are less apparent, and the natural texture of the Paperlike provides subtle resistance against your fingertips. And that provides the best writing experience when you pair it with an Apple Pencil, because the iPad's display now feels like high-quality writing paper. I don't normally like writing on the iPad's default display, and the Paperlike has completely transformed that experience for me, letting me journal and take notes with more precision, and providing the satisfying feel and sound like I'm writing on a real piece of paper. And with its super easy to use and follow butterfly application, you'll have a perfectly aligned screen protector with no bubbles with a hassle-free setup, so you can enjoy your Paperlike right away. To upgrade your iPad's display, check out the link in the description, and thank you to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Another budget or value upgrade rumored to be at this event is the new iPhone 17e. Now, the iPhone 17e is likely to keep the same design as before, but it will have some really nice upgrades that will make it a better phone than the 16e. The biggest is that it's rumored to get MagSafe, which will open up the 17e to a huge range of MagSafe accessories that Apple and other third parties sell. I had no idea when I was reviewing the 16e why Apple chose to omit MagSafe. I felt like that was like a default feature that would be on every iPhone. So I am really happy to see them correcting that with the 17e. I really hope that rumor is true. Of course, Apple is also rumored to upgrade it with the faster A19 chip, a new C1X modem, and even the new N1 chip. So all of that is also going to be more efficient when using like the wireless network, which could also boost the battery life a little bit for the 17e as well. I think some surprise upgrades to the 17e would make it a really compelling phone, like increasing the base storage from 128 gigabytes to 256 gigabytes. And if that does happen, I could see the 17e being a much bigger hit than the 16e was last year. Now, while this event will mostly focus on budget or lower cost products in Apple's lineup, there are a few other products that almost don't make sense to be announced, but based on the rumors, Apple is set to show off some really expensive products as well. Now, besides the M4 MacBook Air, which is rumored to be getting a new M5 chip that could be at this event, the bigger upgrade, obviously, is the new M5 Pro and M5 Max 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros. Of course, the biggest rumored upgrade for these new MacBooks is that they will finally be upgraded to the M5 Pro and M5 Max chip. And based on some of these projected benchmark scores, the M5 Max could have a multi-core CPU that exceeds 30,000 in Geekbench, and a GPU that surpasses 250,000 in the Metal GPU benchmark. That would make it more powerful than Apple's current Mac Studio desktop with an M3 Ultra chip in both CPU and GPU performance. And as someone that has gravitated towards the MacBook form factor over Apple's desktops, I gotta say, I am excited to have all that power in a 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pro. Like, the fact that Apple keeps upgrading these chips and providing such huge boosts year over year to the point where like 2 generations out, they're beating their desktop class chip is always just such a cool, like insane fact to me. Like these computers are just so powerful. I'm really excited to see just how good the performance is on these new MacBook Pros. Now, yes, rumors say not to expect any major design upgrades for the new M5 MacBook Pros, but I do wonder, even if the design isn't changing, if you are planning on buying a new MacBook Pro soon, this one might actually be the one to get over the rumored redesign for the OLED MacBook Pro, which is supposed to come actually at the end of this year, because that upgrade to an OLED display will likely increase the cost pretty significantly. And on top of that, component costs just across the entire computer industry right now are going crazy because companies think generating AI slop is like the most important thing on the planet right now, which could mean even higher prices in the future on existing Apple products, even without like fancy redesigns. Like, I think it's pretty telling that Tim Cook did not rule out price increases across the board on Apple's recent earnings call. So again, even though this may not be the exciting MacBook Pro upgrade, it may be the more practical one if you value performance per dollar, and the M5 Pro and M5 Max should be some really nice performance upgrades. But the most exciting area for me isn't necessarily the new MacBook Pros, it's the accessory that is rumored to be shown off with them, and that would be a new Apple external display. And based on the latest rumors, we may be getting more than one. Because the recent release of macOS 26.3 references 2 model code names for a new Apple monitor, J427 and J527. My guess is the cheaper display, a new studio display, is that J427 model, and this is rumored to come with Thunderbolt 5 support and a mini LED display with 120Hz ProMotion. So that will be a huge upgrade to Apple's external display. I can't wait for that. That's probably the one I'm gonna get. But the second identifier may be referencing an update to a second display. More likely, a new generation of the Pro Display XDR, which I imagine would keep the bigger size 32-inch 6K display, but also adding the 120Hz ProMotion. It does have HDR currently, but maybe we'll get like a more refined version of the mini LED display to be put into the Pro Display XDR as well. Although with such like a big price jump to the Pro Display XDR, I wonder if they're going to cut the cost on it a bit, which would be great, or if maybe there's like a few more surprises here for the Pro Display XDR that just haven't been leaked out, which would be cool as well. And I guess we'll learn about that pretty soon. But yeah, suddenly this event just got a lot more exciting because there's a lot more unknowns going into this event. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Apple positions these 2 new displays. And it's going to be really interesting to see that low-cost MacBook, hopefully with a more unique design than just like a remodeled low-cost MacBook Air. I think that's really exciting, and I am counting down the days until we see all of these new products announced. If you want to see if these predictions were right, get subscribed, and yeah, I guess I'll see you back here next week. Unless you didn't like the video and you unsubscribed, then it's been good. It's been fun. I'll miss you.